Today I'm going to show how to make pizza dough and ultimately a pizza Margherita, which is basil, some mozzarella, some tomato, and I'm actually adding a little bit of pancetta to it. But right here, what I have is the start of, if you'll get is the start of the yeast mixture. So I used 2 yeast packs, which look like this. Just standard active dry yeast packs. I've added 1 3/4 cups of warm water and 1 tablespoon of molasses in there. And I've let it sit for a little bit to get frothy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 2 teaspoons of salt, and I'm going to add the extra virgin olive oil, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. There we go. And I'm going to mix this for about 2 minutes just to get it mixed up well. So my salt and olive oil have been mixing in the yeast mix for 2 minutes. Now I'm going to add the flour. Here I've got 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, and I've got a ½ cup of whole wheat flour. I'm just going to get that in there. I want to get all of it in there. And this is going to mix for about anywhere between 6 and maybe 10 minutes. And it's got to form a nice sticky ball of dough. So we've got that flour in there. A little bit more. There you go. And we're going to mix this on a low speed. On mine, it's about a 2. I'm going to leave this go for about 6 to 10 minutes, watching it to make sure I get the right consistency of the dough. So this has been mixing now for about 8 minutes, and it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is get it off my mixer. First getting it off the dough hook. This is sticky stuff, and if it appears to be, it's going to be really sticky, but if it's not putting together well, you just need to add a little more flour. In this case, it is what I want, so all I'm going to do is bring this out. I've got about a teaspoon of olive oil. I'm going to take the olive oil and I'm going to just get it all over the dough there, and this is going to help me get it off, as well as coat the dough. So, I'm getting it all over that dough, and I'm scraping it off of the bowl. That olive oil is going to prevent it from sticking all over the place. There we go. Keep on working it off the bowl, like so. Getting that olive oil on it. There we go. A little bit more. Make sure it's well coated. There we go. Now I just take the dough, and I've got some, there we go. I've got some plastic wrap sitting right here. I'm going to leave it sit for about 1.5 hours for it to rise. I'm going to put another piece of plastic wrap on top of it once I clean my hands. It's going to rise for a ½ hour, and then I'll show you where to go from there. This dough's been rising now for 1.5 hours. As you can see, it's double or so the size it was. So all I'm going to do here is get it onto this board. And I'm going to knead it a little bit. Get it back down to normal size. Back to roughly what it was earlier. As you can see, it's doing that right now. Still sticky. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to get it cut into 6 pieces, 6 equal sized pieces. So I'm just trying to shape it up here and gonna really kind of guess. Just taking my knife, separating it. I'll take each one of these pieces, get it into a ball. 1. 2. And I'll do the 3rd. Now, if you have to take some from one and add it to the other, but basically you want this in 6 pieces so you have pretty much the right size pizzas to put on your grill. So as you can see, this is really sticky. I've got my saran wrap over here that I was using before, which is oiled already from it. Got a little oil. I just want to get these brushed down with a little bit of oil because they will keep on sticking to you and everything else unless you've got them oiled pretty well. And I'm going to do that with the other 6, and we're going to let those rise for about 45 to 50 minutes or so. And then we'll start rolling it out for the pizza. So the dough, the 6 balls of dough that I made have been resting now for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm just going to take one of them here, and I am going to begin to knead it and work it out. I've oiled this plastic board to use as my surface here, and I got to stretch the dough out and get it thin as I possibly can. It keeps on wanting to shrink back, so you got to kind of play with this a little bit and sort of stretch it out. It does that very, very well. So you just keep on playing and playing and playing until you get it thinned out pretty well and the way you want it. So here we go. Switching it a little bit this way. Yep, got a little tear, so I gotta repair that back up. And just pulling out the edges. Up this way a little bit. Up this way a little bit. More this way. If you want to try to make a ground one, you certainly can. I don't try to do anything like that. I just try to get it stretched out so that it's kind of evenly thin. And that's about right there. So now what I'm going to do is take this to my heated grill. I have it heated just a little more above medium. You'll see in the directions in the post. I'm going to grill it on one side. I'll flip it over, and I'm going to add my toppings to the other. Alright, so I got that pizza dough ready. I've got my foil pack on the grill. I've got my grill set just above medium, and we'll get into the temperatures in the post. I just want to get, the grate's already oiled, but I want to make sure this is oiled so it doesn't stick on me. So I'm going to go ahead and brush a little bit of oil on our pizza dough here on one side. And I'm just going to carefully get this off of the plastic and right onto the grate, like so. There we go. Now, I'm going to leave that go for a little bit, and actually I'll leave the top up here. I'm going to leave that go for a little bit. It's going to get nice and so I get a little brown on the bottom. I'll flip it over, and I'll show you my toppings. Alright, so here we go. We've got one side with some nice grill marks on it. I'm just going to use my spatula underneath it and flip it. There we go. You know what, I did forget to do something. Sorry, get it back there for a second. I'll brush it up with a little more oil. There we go. Now, get it back there, like so. Let me get my toppings on. Pizza Margherita is tomato, mozzarella, and basil. In this case, I'm adding a little bit of garlic and pancetta as well. You got to work kind of fast here. I've got a pretty hot fire, and I don't want to burn the crust too much. Get some of that on there. A little bit of garlic. And a little bit of pancetta. More. Alright, now I got this side of the grill. I just turned it down to low. So all I'm going to do is move this over here so it doesn't burn too much on the bottom. Leave that on low, and I'm going to let everything melt for a little bit. Alright, so you want to get this to the degree you want it done. The bottom here is pretty nice. The cheese is starting to bubble. Looks pretty good to me. I'm just going to take that off. And there is my version of pizza margherita with some pancetta and garlic.